be working comic or something to be rich with guys. That'd be nice. Not realistic. Not realistic.
It's hard to get in there. Don't understand. Why do you want to work?
Did 6 months, getting paid.
I want to do comedy forever. Nobody gets to see what we do.
It's there. I don't want to come. Just get good. Could care less about anything.
Stay with me, man. You're the only audience I got, man.
Hey Adam, it's been a few years since the first episode. What have you learned so far?
Comedy's still hard.
Waylon still doesn't have a car 4 years later.
We're doing Comedy's Hard Part 2, bro, 4 years later.
Comedy's fucking hard, man. I need a car.
That's how hard it is. We're still making documentaries and no one will watch.
Exactly.
You're not calling it Comedy is Hard, are you?
Yeah, comedy is still hard.
Oh, really? Because I always thought that title was cheesy. Not yours, but no, I'll tell you why, right? Because it's like saying, oh, it's so hard, everybody. You know, please sympathy for the comedian who's trying to be funny.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, yeah, it's hard. So what?
I was in the original Comedy's Hard. I was the masochist, I believe is what the title was for me.
And you were the pragmatist?
Pragmatist, yeah. I don't know why that was my label. That was Dodgen's thing. He wanted to label everybody like we were like the Voltron of fucking shitty comedians.
Okay.
Voltron, defender of the universe.
I'm Abdullah, the anorexic butcher of comedy. That's what I am.
I'm actually the Kamala, the Ugandan headhunter of offensive comedy.
About 4 years ago, I thought there was about 40 comics in town, and now we have about 150 comics in town, so that's a lot more.
That's almost double.
I quit my job. I'm doing nothing but comedy now. Living the dream. Making upwards of $12,000 a year. Yeah.
Mark Agee, he has blossomed into an absolutely wonderful piece of the puzzle. 4 years ago, I didn't think he was funny, but now he's probably one of my top 5 guys in Dallas.
I'm still trying to get good. I still haven't gotten where I want to be, just getting more comfortable up on stage.
I actually know of Adam Shumate. 4 years ago, I didn't know who he was. Now I do, and he's funny.
Some people fall off, I've noticed that. Dodgen, I don't see him as much anymore. He was the guy that started the first documentary.
Yeah, he quit. He's no longer in this, so he's right where he was 4 years ago.
Yeah, I lost a little weight since the last time. That's what she's.
You don't recognize him because you lost the whole person.
Oh, look at that dick. Get funny and then we'll put you on this video.
It's easier just to tell the truth. That was the good joke, so now from here, we go to the new jokes.
Having a real job and trying to be out every night, even if you're not performing, just hanging out to be seen is the hardest part for me, for sure.
The hardest thing about comedy is just basically getting up on stage and actually trying to be yourself on stage.
Telling a joke that's incredibly personal and you think that you have it like right and tight and it's good and people not responding to it and it's so incredibly personal to you, that's what kills me.
The hardest thing is trying to convince myself I'm actually funny, man. Because a lot of times the audience is like, no, you're not. And I'm like, yes, I know. But I continue to try for some reason, I don't know.
The hardest thing about comedy is trying to find out who you are on stage. Because a lot of people are influenced by their favorites. When you grow up, you have this idea of what a comedian's supposed to be, and then you get on stage and you pretty much, in a weird way, end up impersonating them.
There's no point in saying, oh, writing or this, that, whatever. I mean, that's going to be the stuff everybody says. Honestly, not to be a douche, but it's the politics, man. I used to not even be able to get work at one club because I worked for a company where, like, the manager of this club didn't like my boss, and it had nothing to do with me.
It only gets harder. You transition to doing comedy full time, and you spend every day begging for work. You're like the only industry where you really, really want to work, and no one will let you.
Reserved for John Tole, his ego, and Paul Varghese, his finger. I have a $2,500 deductible, so I've got to break 2 legs. Never be able to pay for this finger. That's how much I love comedy and booze.
Obviously, I mean, yeah, it's hard, but check this out. It's not hard, so hard that obviously you or I would quit. So there's an element of, okay, it's not that hard. Although there's a difficulty to it.
Sure.
Right, or an element of.
But I think that also goes back to, if you, like we were saying earlier, if you have legitimate talent, if you are actually funny.
Even if you're the funniest guy in the world, you're still alone 23 hours a day in a hotel room, eating, takeout. that's the best case scenario.
You know, the funniest comic in the world doesn't necessarily equal fame. Fame equals with the show and the business side.
And that's the story that you need to know, is that no matter how funny you are, no one gives a fuck. No one knows who you are, and no one cares.
How many months of comedy is this right here?
Probably about a year and a half.
A year and a half of comedy on this fucking, this mead paper.
It's the only copy he has of it.
It's the only copy.
What made you want to get into comedy, Brian?
Well, I've always been a funny guy, you know, and I've just always wanted to try to see if I could make myself funny on a broad scale.
I guess there's people that grow up and they're always like, oh yeah, you should do comedy, you're so funny, you know. I never got that, ever. You know what I'm saying? In fact, people probably were like, wow, you should never do comedy, you know, and I guess that's why. I just want to kind of prove them wrong.
I haven't figured out what I want from this whole thing, so it's a constant, ongoing process.
But you want to wash dishes, someone will let you. They'll let you come in their place, but it doesn't work that way with comedy. Because in their mind, every comedian's funny, and it's not true from my viewpoint.
Somebody just told me this recently. It's a marathon, not a sprint. A lot of younger comics have these delusions of grandeur, where they think they're going to hit the stage and they're going to be the next big thing tomorrow, and it's taking your time.
So you just went up. How did it feel?
Did all right.
Did all right?
Did you do new shit?
Yeah.
You didn't do Dead Grandmother, did you?
No, I didn't.
Yes!
Okay.
Don't write down jokes. Write down your ideas, and you just want to write down like your premise, so you remember the premise, and so every time you tell it, it sounds natural. Because if you're in front of a mirror rehearsing it all the time, you sound like you're in front of a mirror telling it on stage, and you're like, wow, she knows every line of that joke, and there's no timing or delivery whatsoever.
Literally, I mean, I'll fucking, oh, hey, that's funny, and fucking something else is funny, I'll marry them together, and that's funny too, and 80s reference, dick joke, you're done. I mean, that's 101.
You didn't get me.
If you have a joke with the word pussy in it, quit comedy. There's enough pussy jokes out there. But no, if you have a really insightful way to talk about pussy that hasn't been done before, I say go for it. Stretch the boundaries.
What are your thoughts, cameraman?
I always tell people to learn how to shut up.
To become a comic that's actually being used in the Dallas Metroplex is two things. Number one is definitely writing. Number two is treating that business of the show business with major respect. And you do those two things, that's a wonderful step in the right direction.
I don't understand why comics don't laugh at other comics and be like supportive.
Alright. I do have a great way to pick up chicks though. It's called psychology. Because what does psychology tell us? Psychology tells us that women go for men that remind them of their fathers. That's how I roll. Just walk in the bar and just like, young lady, you get it this hard right this second.
Like somebody you know is starting out.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then you watch their set, and you know they just started out, and you're like, while they're on stage, you're thinking, you know what? When they get off, I'm gonna tell them this and that.
Yeah, sure.
Help them out. Yeah. But then you realize. He's not gonna go anywhere with this, you know what I'm saying? He's not gonna make it. Why am I gonna make my time? You know?
Yeah.
I've heard Nick's jokes so many times. It's like, say something new. It's an 80s reference after 80s reference, and you can only take so much.
Yeah, for real now, bro. I'm like, golly, dude. Fucking these Back to the Future jokes are making me nauseous.
People think that they can go to open mics with 100 people at it and kill, and that's comedy. And comedy is really performing your fucking balls out in front of nobody.
Do you think Kobe Bryant thinks last-minute shots in the playoffs are hard? Not anymore. Maybe his rookie year, but this ain't our rookie year.
Some people have gone a lot further and become a lot funnier than I ever expected them. And some of them that I expected to be funnier have let me down.
The hardest thing right now for me is just as far as sticking with it and making it a constant thing. trying to not find excuses to not go up whenever I can.
It does continue to get harder, but at the same time, when you do get laughs on something, it is incredibly rewarding, but I think you have to have tough skin.
Comedy is hard. And for those of you who think it's hard, well, just remember, it's pretty hard.
I'd be like, Dad, I suck. Me too, son. Me too.
If you are going to get into stand-up after watching this, just know that we're better than you, and we always will be.
You know how many game-winning shots, comedically, that I've delivered to win shit? Countless. I would count on all my fingers, but I can't bend one of them. But just for the sake of argument, let's say 9.
You guys have gone on the road together to a few gigs. Do you have any road horror stories? Yeah, or any funny story that happened to you guys while out on the road. Are you guys even friends at all? What do you think about comedy? Is it still hard to you?
No, comedy's very easy right now.
I love it. Comedy's so easy. Why can't Paul afford a decent computer? Because he's at my house today burning some fucking DVDs because he can't do shit on his own. So there, how about that?
I don't listen to one single fucking person in the scene, except for Mark Agee, because every once in a while he says something funny about blacks.
He's a divorced comic. He's a married comic. As you can see, the divorced comic can hang out all night. What's the hardest thing about comedy for you, James?
This bag, carrying it. It's pretty heavy. Because I have my wiener. A real funny Kirk's with me.
And just like you said, you know, a lot of comics blow. Yeah, they do. But you're gonna blow too.
You know, Mark is a talented guy who has a long career ahead of him, and I don't want to out-campaign him early and, you know, label him as a racist. I want him to be able to prove that for himself.
He does think that black condoms, black comics do have an extra tendon that helps him write funnier jokes.